Unit 13, Day 2. It's still the sum and difference formulas. So I'm not going to write all 6 of them down again. You have them written down. You can refer to them again today when you need to. But today we're going to do picture problems. And so maybe this is obvious. I hope it's obvious. The key to today is being able to draw the picture. And we've done problems kind of like this before, where we have to draw an angle in the right quadrant and kind of draw it correctly and find the missing sides. So let's just do one, because everything we're doing today we've done before. We're just piecing it together in a different way. So all the skills that you need, you already have. I mean, in theory, you've used them and we've gone over them. Now we'll sort of put them together and see how this works. All right, if sine of x equals 12/13 and x is between 0 and pi over 2, we'll use that in a minute. We need another angle here. And cosine of y equals -3/5 and is not in quadrant 2. Sort of a weird instruction, but we'll see how that helps us in a minute. Let's draw these first, and then we'll do some stuff with them. So let's draw the picture of x first. X is, I think, the easier one to draw, because what quadrant is our angle going to be in? If x is between 0 and pi over 2, what quadrant is that? Yeah, that's got to be in quadrant 1. So I'll draw a triangle in the first quadrant. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, or y over r. So that's how I'll know how to label my triangle. The opposite is 12. The r is 13. And what about that missing side? It's 5. If you don't recognize the Pythagorean triple, then you got to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But knowing your Pythagorean triples will help a lot today. 3, 4, 5, 5, 12, 13, 8, 15, 17. There's others, but they get too big to mess with. So usually those 3 are enough. All right, next let's draw angle y. What quadrant? Well, it's not in quadrant 2, that's for sure. So how do I know what quadrant it's in? Or what quadrant is it in? I see a few people showing me with their fingers. Show me with your fingers if you think you know what quadrant it's in. Very hesitant answers because they're not sure. So cosine is the x thing, is the left and right thing. So cosine is negative over on the left. This is negative, so this needs to be in quadrant 2 or 3, but it can't be in 2, so it's got to be in 3. All students take calculus, so it's got to be in 2 or 3, but they threw out 2, so it's got to be in 3.
Is it quadrant 3 like double negative? Like, because y would also be negative, so then the number then becomes positive.
Okay, good question. The question is, aren't both things negative in quadrant 3? Yes, x and y are negative in quadrant 3, but hypotenuse or radius is not negative. Okay, so it's a good question. Let's see, the x value or the adjacent value is negative, but the hypotenuse or the radius is not negative. It's a positive. But your question is super important for the side I'm about to label. What's this missing side? -4. And so that negative is what will get some people, because they'll be like, oh, 3, 4, 5 triangle. Yes, but it's down, so it needs to be a -4. All right, so we've done these before. It's been a while. Drawing pictures based on some information. Now we're going to do two things with this. Let's find the cosine of x minus y. Cosine of x minus y. Well, job one would be rewrite that formula. Don't plug anything in yet. Just rewrite cosine of x minus y. So flip over in your notes, wherever you have that starred or boxed or highlighted or whatever it is. Let's see, the cosine one is the one that does cosine x, cosine y, and then the sign is different, so plus sine x, sine of y. So write that formula out. Don't try to substitute and do the formula like all at the same time. That's too much going on. That's when people mess up. All right, cosine of x. So I look at my x angle. Cosine I know is adjacent over, maybe I should label these, make my life a little easier. Don't have to, but it's one less thing to think about if I label them. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent over hypotenuse is 5/13. It's not the cosine of 5/13. The cosine is equal to 5/13 because cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Cosine of y, adjacent over hypotenuse, is -3/5. Sine of x, so this is really just being careful to look at the right picture, look at the right sides. So x is this picture. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, 12/13. And then sine of y, so I look at the y picture, and sine is equal to -4/5. Now, you may use your calculator on these if you want to. To me, I would use some calculator and some not calculator, because that's a lot to type in, parentheses, and it's a real easy way to mess things up. I would avoid the calculator if you can do it, because I know how to multiply fractions. -15 over 65 plus -48 over 65. Again, if you needed to type in 13 times 5, you could do that. And then, again, rather than typing all of that in, I'm just going to do -15 minus 48. -63 over 65. That's how I would recommend using the calculator. If you're really scared of fractions, then you could do it this is going to take forever. I really don't want to do this, but 5/13 times -3/5 plus, again, this is really not recommended. It'll take you forever doing it this way. 12/13 times -4/5, -63 over 65. I mean, if you need to do it that way, do it that way. Don't mess up the fractions. But it just goes faster if you can got a little bit of fraction sense about you. Or maybe first time through the test, do as much as you can by hand, and then if you got 5 or 10 minutes left over, go back and check the tricky ones with the calculator to make sure they're correct. right? Off the same picture, let's do tangent of x plus y. So usually these problems have the pictures have 2 or 3 problems that go with them, just because we don't want you having to redraw for one problem. So you draw pictures and then you answer a couple questions, and then draw 2 more pictures and answer a couple more questions. All right, tangent of sum, tangent of x plus tangent of y over 1 minus tangent of x times tangent of y. Again, write it out. Don't try to substitute on the fly. It's a great way to mess things up. Okay, tangent of x. So make sure you look at x. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. 12/5. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go to the calculator a little more often on this one, because this is going to be a bit messy. Tangent of y, -4 over -3. So to save myself the hassle later of dealing with the negatives, I know that the 2 negatives will become positive, so I'm just going to switch it to 4/3. If you want to keep it -4 over -3, you can. That's just more hassle for you later, though, when it comes to the calculator. And over 1 minus 12/5 times 4/3. Now this one, I'm less likely to trust myself, because that's, adding fractions without a common denominator and then dividing by fractions. So this one I probably am going to put in the calculator. I'm not going to use the fraction bar, because I think it takes too long to mess with. I'm just going to use division. Put parentheses in the right spot. If that looks funny to you, and if you don't know how to put parentheses in the right place or handle the fractions like that, then you can do it with the fraction bars, and it does look cleaner. It just takes longer. Math frac, -56 over 33. So I need to see everything that I wrote. I need to see especially on the test or the quiz. I don't want you to just give me the answer, because then I'm not sure where that came from. So show me the formula, show me the values plugged in, and then I know you're going to the calculator. So I don't need to see all the work in between if you use the calculator. If I really want to do the fraction bar, I think you can do fractions in fractions. Yep. So if you really need to see the fraction bar in there, you can do it. Again, I find this more annoying than helpful, but if you need to see it, then do it. So it takes time, but it does look exactly like your picture, so you don't have to worry about parentheses if you type it in that way. 12/5 plus 4/3, 1 minus 12/5 times 4/3. I better get the same thing, and I do. So, how you use the calculator is up to you. Be careful, use it wisely. Type it all in if you need to. If you can shortcut some things, knock yourself out. Unit 13, Day 2 worksheet. Worksheet 2 is the one for today. So you've got the packet already. I don't think there's any special instructions required. It's only 6 problems. Draw 2 pictures, answer 2 questions. Draw 2 pictures, answer 2 questions. Draw 2 pictures, answer 2 questions. So it should go pretty straightforward. And again, we'll have a quiz tomorrow. It'll be at the end of the period. Because it's block day, we'll have plenty of time to go over some of these, make sure we're okay, and then we'll take the quiz.